Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach, and today we have with us Randy Crabtree, who's the co-founder and partner of Tri-Merit Specialty Tax Professionals. Randy, welcome to the program.
Mike, thanks. I appreciate you having me here. And just as a side note, I've been listening to your show and I really like it. Thanks for putting that out there.
Hey, you're welcome. I really enjoy doing these, and I know you've got a podcast as well, and you probably will agree with the fact that, in back in the day when you used to be able to go to these things called chamber mixers and talk to humans and chit chat, well, the fun part is learning about other people. And so when you can talk to people on a podcast and learn about their business and learn how they're impacting lives and unique strategies or whatever the topic that comes up, it just becomes a really neat, vibrant conversation. So I'm looking forward to that with yourself because I know that you've got a very deep background. So give us a little bit of your entrepreneurial journey and what led you to the CPA field.
Sure. I'll try to keep it brief. But I actually, for a long time, knew I wanted to have my own business. At 16, I started a window washing company and hired people that I was working with in high school. And actually, that went real well, but that wasn't going to be my future. After graduating college, took me a year or two, and I was out as a computer programmer is what my original degree was. And then I decided that I didn't like that, and so I tried sales, and I was not good at that, although I learned a lot. But one day I just realized, hey, I should have been a CPA. Called my wife from a payphone. That's how old I am. And from a payphone, when I was in between sales calls, I said, hey, I want to go back to school and be a CPA. What do you think? And she's like, what are you saying? What's going on here? So I got home, did all the financial analysis, decided it made sense, went back to school, full time for a year to get enough classes to become a CPA. And then I set a goal that 5 years after graduating, I wanted to start my own practice. And that's what I did.
Neat. So the numbers attracted you to that, or was it something different?
I always was a number guy. I mean, I would do math for fun. Not that you have to be a math person to be a CPA, but the numbers attracted me, and that was always a passion for me.
I remember when I did my MBA, I focused in marketing because I did not want to do numbers and all that, but you had to do one class in corporate finance, and it was the one class I got a B in, everything else was A's, but I remember that it was not only did you have to do the numbers, quote unquote, but you had to then know what the numbers meant. And I think to me, that is probably what really excites you because yes, there's numbers involved, but when you work with businesses and you can say, now here's what that tells us, and then you could start working with them to then improve, the numbers, but also what's behind the numbers.
Yep. And that was always a passion as well, but it was funny because when I was in public accounting and Tri-Merit is a separate business, the first business was a CPA firm that I ran for 15 years. But then when I started Tri-Merit, I realized that it's more about being an expert in one specific area of the tax code and being able to communicate that expertise to others. And that's my passion now.
That is a big point. And you hear that a lot in, online marketing. You get rich in the niche. Well, call it what you want, whether it's rich in the niche or whether it's just helping people stay focused. I think that's a huge point. And it reminds me of a really, really cool book that I really love and read so many times and recommend it. Have you ever read the book Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller?
I have heard the book. I am terrible at reading those types of books, and I should do, and I always say I should do more, but no, I have not read that.
Well, you need to read it, listen to it, whatever the case is, but one of the points in there that he talks about is when you confuse, you lose, and if you think that you're explaining your thing the right way and easily to be understood, you're myopic because you know your thing, your business, whatever that it is, but other people, if they have to and he talks about mental calories. If they have to expend mental calories to try to understand what you're talking about and how it benefits them, because everyone's favorite radio station is WIIFM, what's in it for me. So if they have to figure out what's in it for them too much, they just move on. So having that one area of focus and expertise and then knowing how to articulate that clearly, that's a game changer.
Yeah, it has become my passion, but it took me, 59 years old, it took me a long time to figure out what my role was in business. I mean, I was very good at starting businesses. I was very good at growing businesses. Managing businesses is really not my passion or expertise. And then it does come out to that education. Like you're saying, that side of it has just become so fun for me.
So then what was the trigger? What made you then realize that you need to have that, singleness of purpose and focus on one thing and be that expert and know how to explain it to people?
Actually, it was a traumatic experience that really got me to that. 7 years ago, I had a stroke, and I am very fortunate that I have fully recovered. That not too many people come out of stroke feeling no residual effects, but
wow.
Other than mentally, it affected me for about 5 years. But after the stroke, I just reevaluated everything, whether it was business, whether it was, whatever it was, and looked introspectively, I guess, at me and at the business. And I was like, okay, I was by default probably our managing partner at Trimerit, Andy Lane, and I started this 15 years ago. I came out of public accounting. I was managing partner of a firm there, and looked at this and thought, you know what, that's not my passion, and I'm actually not good at running a business. I mean, if I was honest myself, and Andy and I looked at this, and it was his passion, and I should have recognized that before, and he was trying to tell me that, and it took me a while for that to sink in, but when we realized that his passion is managing that business, and when I looked at it, what do I like doing? I like getting out in front of CPAs. I like digging deep into small section of the tax code, becoming an expert, and then being able to communicate that portion, whichever it is, and we deal with about 6 different areas of the tax code, being able to communicate that, you said, where people can understand it. And so that traumatic experience really has been tremendous. I mean, it's sad to say it, I guess, that way, but it's been tremendous for our business because it put Andy in a position that he is outstanding at, better than I was, for sure. And it put me in a position where I just am and doing my passion every single day, which is fun.
Well, I think the struggle when people would hear that is, but I'm just a startup, or I just am new enough. I don't know that I can do I've got to wear all the hats and all of that. And you've got to get to the point where you do feel like, okay, if I don't do that, I'm holding our growth back in the business. So once you get to that point, and you were already there, you just had to release the reins and let your business partner, run with that, and then you stayed in your lane. But what do you say to businesses that would feel like that sounds all fine and good, but man, I can't hire someone right now. My revenues aren't to where they need to be.
Yeah, I know, and it's tough. I'm sometimes not the best person to ask that because I don't see, and I should probably see more of the negative side of things. It's like, this is going to work. It's fine. And you have to have that. You have to be able to analyze that. But bottom line is, you can outsource portions of the business fairly inexpensively. I mean, you can have an outsourced CFO for not too much money. If that's not your portion of the business, then find somebody that can do that on a temporary basis or a part-time basis. Find somebody that's, outsourcing your marketing aspect of things. Find somebody, and it's going to be worth the investment, because if you can concentrate on what you started this business because you have a passion. Your passion, whatever it is, your passion is for. It's for, making cupcakes, or your passion is for advising on financial services. That's your passion. So if you can concentrate just on that and fill in those roles, even if there's a cost there, I really think if your passion can take over that business, you're going to be successful.
Well, I was just doing a teaching last night for a virtual class for the Small Business Development Center, and one of the questions that came up was, okay, you should be doing marketing and this and all these different things. But I think what I'm going to do is just hire someone to do it because I just don't like all that minutia. And I responded and said, because I was on a panel, I said, well, here's what my opinion would be. You're a startup and you haven't even really launched yet, and that's a great mindset. But you must understand the strategy so that when someone else is running it for you, you can make sure that from a 30,000-foot view, they're following that. You can't just go, oh, I don't even want to learn it, so let's hire someone there. So what do you think about, be that owner educating themselves enough to really understand here's what needs to happen from a strategy standpoint, and yeah, I don't need to roll my sleeves up and do the things, so let me bring someone in, whether it's full-timers or remote or virtual, but you need to understand what's going on or else you could get really caught.
Oh no, it is great advice, and that is completely. I agree completely. You have to have that overall vision still. That's your thing, and if it's the numbers that's not your passion, well, you can't just have that CFO do the numbers and then, okay, send it to the CPA, have them do the taxes, let me know what it's like. You have to interact with that person, on an ongoing basis and set that schedule. It's once a week. It's once every other week. It's let's go through the financials. Let's see where we are. Let's set these goals. And again, goal setting is great. It's not an area I'm great at, but as a company, we do it and we look at that overall goal together. So you need that. It doesn't have to be my expertise, doesn't have to be my passion. I'm still involved with that aspect of setting these goals and how are we going to get to those goals. So I agree completely with you on that.
Neat. Okay, so let's jump into the concept of education. You've mentioned that quite a few times, and how does that factor into a business that may listen to this and go, well, I've got my flyers, I educate people, but I think education and educating your target audience and strategic alliances goes beyond just having a website that, should educate people.
Yeah, and that's where my passion lies now. But the bottom line, I said passion a lot today too. Education and passion. I guess those two go together for me.
Yeah.
It appears. So I might be doing the thing I like right now. It is from an education standpoint, like today I'm in my hometown, Chicago suburbs. Today I'm in San Diego. I'm giving some presentations at a tax conference. I'll be doing that next week in Tucson at a tax conference, then Atlanta. And so I'm just out constantly educating on specific parts of the tax code. And a big part of what I'm doing these days is employee retention credit, which is a huge topic, and we don't have time to get into that, but it is just such a fun thing to talk about. So I'm out educating at conferences, not selling. I'm not saying, hey, I can do this for you. Here's the code. Here's how you can help your clients. Here's the money that you can help them save. So I do that at conferences. I do that at webinars. Like you mentioned earlier, I have a podcast called the Unique CPA, where we talk about, areas to educate CPAs, whether it's management styles, techniques, tax issues, outsourcing, like you and I had talked about already, outsourcing. So I'm doing education through the podcast, education through the webinars and the conferences, education through, I'm writing articles for an industry journal, industry magazine called Accounting Today, where it's not even just tax topics. I mean, one of my most recent articles was, 5 ways to put in a plan to hire people with disabilities, and a second follow-up article of what the benefits are there, not just from a tax standpoint, but also from a, profitability standpoint, from a cost standpoint, from a just a whole mindset of this business standpoint. So my education is not just what is this tax code. It is what is good for this industry. And if people see that you have the passion for the industry and an expertise in certain topics, they'll just gravitate towards you.
So I agree with that. And it makes me think of a question that comes up a lot of times in some of the class. I teach some marketing for universities online, and there's this question that comes up, and I'll ask the question, and you can relate it right to what you just mentioned about passion. Because I feel like, from the old days, the Napoleon Hills of the world, enthusiasm and passion, and that's what will fire you up to achieve your goals. That's a big, big piece. So can passion be taught? or is it inborn in you and you're just like, well, I'm just not a passionate person? Because you know what? I would venture to say that there is a stigma in the CPA industry that, that compared to other industries, maybe it's like, well, I'm not really some jump up and down passion and enthusiastic person. So how do you handle that? And then can that be taught or improved upon?
Yeah. The way I look at this is there is something that's going to excite everybody. There is something out there. Everybody, whether they find it or not. I mean, and there's some studies out there that, shows that, 90% of people have a hobby outside of work. So what you would expect, a significant part of people, and that hobby is excites them. They enjoy it. They like it. Well, maybe that hobby somehow can be integrated in what you do with work, and now you build that passion. Maybe you are a singer in a local band that plays at bars locally. Well, you like to be out in front of people. So maybe you take that and you be the person out in front of people now at your business when there is an education opportunity. So trying to integrate not just your skill. I'm a CPA. I know numbers. I know tax. But what do I do outside of work, and how can that integrate? I think that's a big thing to look at. And then what I also look at is me personally. So when I was growing up, I was considered the shy kid. My teachers sent me to speech therapy in third grade because they didn't think I knew how to talk, because I would only talk I thought when it was important. And so even at a third grade age, it was like, well, this isn't a very interesting topic for me, so I'm not going to say anything. But when you find that topic that does excite you, you can't stop me now. And so it's out there. Everybody has it. Doesn't mean you have to be this extrovert. I honestly think I'm an introvert. And I'm thinking most people probably think that of themselves. But when they get that topic that they are passionate about, there's passion again, they will be an extrovert.
Well, I think that passion ties into personal brand, and I that's where I kind of focus in on, and is helping my clients, their brand, be seen as that credible, standout, look like an authority and expert. And I think a lot of people misperceive the word brand or branding as, oh, I've got a nice logo and website. Well, that's fine and good, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what do people think of when they think of your business. So, is it trustworthy? Is it, authoritative? All of those things. Well, recently I've heard, literally this week on another podcast I was listening to, this financial advisor was talking about one of their highly successful clients that has like, I don't know, $1 billion assets under management, which is just spectacular. And they focus on fly fishing when they talk in their social media or the fly fishing. And it's like, you know what? Yeah. I do financial planning really, really good. And you should check out what we do. But let me tell you my real path. And I think that when people get a glimpse, now it should not be 100% of the time. And starting off, you should educate on the, benefits of what your business does. But don't shy away from letting people have a peek inside of your personal side to give a little bit of flavor. And it's just kind of like, how a little bit of salt savors the meat, but too much, you've crossed the line. So you got to have balance too.
Yeah, and yes, I agree completely. But boy, when I start talking, I get excited about tax now. So it's fun.
Well, if people want to connect with you and dig in a little bit deeper on your passions and learn a little bit more about tax and the tax code, listen to your podcast, what's the best way that they can reach out and connect with you?
Yeah, so a couple things. The podcast itself is called the Unique CPA. I mean, you can listen to it anywhere. You can get a podcast. The website for our company is TriMerit. It's tri-merit, merit.com. That's the best place. There's a meet the team site or link there where you can get all my contact information off that, or LinkedIn. I try to post some stuff on LinkedIn, and so you can always search for me on that as well.
Excellent. Well, Randy, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a real pleasure having you on the show.
It was great being here. I really enjoyed the time, and again, you do a great job, so I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneurssradio.com.